Is water wet?
Oh my gosh. Are we starting with water wet? So water is a substance, and it can be wet, but I don't think it's intrinsically wet. I think that it has to be put on something to be. Yeah, I'm just yapping.
So you don't think it's wet?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
I think it is because if I were to pour water on something, let's say it was clothes, right? If I were to pour it on clothes, the clothes would be wet, right? So if I were to pour water on Saihan, for example, Saihan would be wet. So, so I basically believe that if I were to pour water on water, just poured water on water,
It would just be wet.
that the water is wet.
Here's my take on it. Because, like, what is classified? Let me ask you guys this. What's classified as wet?
A wet T-shirt.
I know, but what makes something wet? Being covered in water, right?
If I take my shirt and I just drench it in a bunch of oil, is it not wet?
Okay, say we're only talking about water, though. Like, if something's wet by water, it's covered in water, right?
Here's a counterpoint. There's actually a substance that people spray on them that they can go in like a pool of water and their skin won't,
They won't be wet?
yeah, they won't be wet.
So they're...
Hydrophobic, chemistry. Hydrophobic and hydrophilic.
True. Good point. My take on this, though, is that in order for something to be classified as wet, it has to be surrounded by water, right? And if we break this down from like a chemistry perspective and just look at a water molecule, what is that one water molecule surrounded by?
Hydrogen.
Other water molecules, right? H2O, H2O, H2O. It's all just like a web, right? So water is H2O, right? And if that water is surrounded by a million other H2O molecules, that water is wet, right? Just as if I poured this water on this laptop, it would be covered in water, right? So it would be wet. If you have one water molecule that's still water surrounded by other water molecules, it's wet.
Valid, but there's also hydrophobic elements that denote water as not wet. A substance won't become wet if it's hydrophobic. So the question is water wet? You know what? Now that I thought about it, from a chemical perspective, I actually don't think it is because water can either be hydrophobic or hydrophilic, depending. But again, I think at every point of this discussion, it's never water itself. It's always going to be water in comparison to everything else. But water in and of itself, I don't think is wet. Water is just water. Like it has properties, but water itself can't be wet.
Okay, this is too much chemistry for me. I'm a business student. Let's talk about the stocks,
Of course, that you look.
like stuff like the stocks or something. But
Okay.
let's lead that into our next point of focus. Do high schools? Oh, you want us to answer the question?
Oh, no.
No, I think we said the audience can answer the
Yeah,
question.
you guys can answer the question in the comments below.
Do high schools fail to teach us about the financial state of the world?
Yes.
Yes. And why do you think so?
No. Oh wait, sorry. Do high schools fail to teach us about the financial things of the world? I would say no, they don't.
Why do you think they don't?
Okay, actually, wait. So let me retract what I just said. I don't think necessarily that high schools. Okay, so a course in high school won't exactly teach you the fundamentals of like how to file taxes, how to what's it again, the 20% rule, where it's like you make sure you're spending your cash flow is 20% of your whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So those things you probably won't learn in a high school course. Unless does accounting even does business even cover that stuff? Yeah. Okay. So
I took business.
I took basically every business course in high school.
Yeah.
None of them covered the basic financial things that people need to know to live their life.
Yeah, so I don't think that high schools teach you that explicitly, but what I will say is that people have internet, people have access to social media. Now, obviously, that is a whole can of worms in itself, and I know we've already talked about how social media is a pretty negative influence, but in many aspects, having access to the internet is a very positive light, and kids have no excuse to look up a video, or there's like a million videos on YouTube talking about even from their specific country, like if from the US or Canada or UK, talk about how can you effectively save your money, how to file your own taxes, how to do all these things, right? So I'm not saying high school. So yes, I will answer this. No, high school doesn't explicitly prepare you for having a good financial literacy, but I don't think we should have schools be the result. I think you definitely can take personal agency and learn yourself.
So let me ask you this question. Why in school are we learning about health and physical activity? We learn about dance. We learn about drama. But what's the one thing that the students, like the average person would basically struggle coming out of high school and university is with money. They need to pay the bills, right? But that's the one thing in our education curriculum that we're not learning. So in my opinion, I would say that, like you mentioned, like the externals, like sources, like, you know, going on YouTube and doing this and that. But I would say that our education system does not prepare us to be financially independent, because if they did want to, we would have courses that teach us how to invest, how to save your money, how to not go broke, you know? And those would be more helpful than learning how to play an instrument, in my opinion. But
And here's my take on this. So I'm kind of going to, counteract what Sion said, because personally, right, obviously the internet's a big place, but there's a lot of people who don't know in general what certain things are. For example, filing your taxes, right? You're not going to know what filing your taxes are until you're like 18, right? And when you get around to that, sometimes, you have that parental assistance where you could learn from them. But if you don't have that, you're going to have to learn from scratch. A lot of people don't also know about inflation, for example. Obviously, inflation is a big factor of today. But the thing is, right, if you were to just keep your money in a bank account, or if you were to put it into a bank savings account, like, you wouldn't actually be making money on that because of inflation. And a lot of people don't know that, right? And the thing is, right, this is, I think, something that schools should teach us, right? They should teach us the basics. Yeah. And then Google should be the way of expanding and learning more about those certain concepts. For example, inflation is one of them, right? If a school were to teach us the basics of inflation, someone could go on Google, right? Because they'd be interested in the topic, right? To learn more about how inflation plays a factor in our everyday lives and how they could potentially invest their money to, beat inflation in terms of growing their wealth.
You brought up good points, though, because even though we're not directly taught how to, manage our funds, you still, like, especially in today's day and age, you've got to be that type of person that's able to, like, sharpen your skills on your own, right? And think on your feet. Even though you're not being taught something in school, doesn't mean you can't use your resources, because in today's time, there is, like, so many resources and so many ways you can, like, you can go on YouTube, TikTok, and just learn these different skills. So definitely don't, like, use that as an excuse as to why, but it would be better if we did have that in our, in high school.
Yeah, so I'll address both these things. And I think you guys bring up good points. My only thing is that I think we have to make distinctions between is school an effective form of education for this modern society, and in many ways you can argue it's not. But here's the thing I will say is that I think the solution to what you guys both said is just the fact that maybe you just need to implement a financial course in high school, like a basic one in grade 10, grade 11, which is fine. And maybe, like how English is mandatory up until grade 12 in Ontario, and then maybe have that. You know what? Maybe we should have a mandatory financial literacy course in grade 12. Yeah. Only thing I will say, though, is that I promise you, even if we have that, half of these kids still won't pay attention to that class. So they won't learn anything anyway. And the second part is that school, I think, inevitably favors university and college education more than does the trades. Because if you look at the modern society, we have a lot less use for, I guess, what they call primary producers in the economy, where it's like agriculture, farming. Well, that's agriculture, I'm dumb. Like farming, carpenting, all these basic things. We kind of strive more towards like medicine, engineering, technology, business. And if you look at most high school graduates in Ontario, like they go to those sectors in university and they graduate with that. I mean, all three of us are living proof of that. The only thing I will say that like I feel like my education in high school was perfect. Like I don't have a problem with it because everything I did in high school, I more or less use that as prerequisites for my education. And I'm sure both of you probably feel a similar way. And for a lot of kids, they probably don't feel the same way. So I think the question becomes, is the education system at large a good, not metric, but a good, I guess, driving force for teaching kids like an actual holistic education that serves them well in general purpose life? And I don't think, maybe not, that's a whole different topic in and of itself. But no, I do agree that yes, high schools don't actually teach you these things, but I don't think that is a valid excuse for kids to not be at least a little bit financially literate in some aspects, because again, you can just open your phone up and just look at things like, okay, like I don't know. This is my opinion. Like I know a lot of kids struggle with saving money, so I don't know.
Since we're on the topic of schools right now, if you guys don't know, I have two brothers that both go to a high school with uniforms, and they always complain about it. But me personally, like, I'm not totally against the whole notion of uniforms. But do you guys think that uniforms should still be enforced?
Well, here's my sort of logic. Obviously, there's like the positives and negatives behind it. I'd say in today's generation, right, like we are a little more strict on, being able to express ourselves, wear our own stuff, sort of stand, do our own thing, be ourselves, right? And that's what our generation kind of proposes, right? But if you were to look into the past, and honestly, I think it is very useful, very important, and significant to understand that uniforms could be very important within a school, because certain not obviously not in Canada, but if you were to go to the US, right, there are a lot of school shootings, for example, or violent crimes that happen in a lot of areas, right? And I think by wearing a uniform, you're able to distinctify. I don't know if that's a word. Distinctify. Sorry.
That sounds like a good word.
It's a good word, but distinguish. Sorry, business student. Distinguish. That threat towards the school, and I think obviously it's important to understand that, but there's always the two sides to the story, right? Like there's a good thing to wearing a uniform, and there's also a bad side to wearing a uniform as well. So I'm kind of like on the fence with it, but yeah.
We should also add that my boy over here just finished like a 10-hour work shift, just came back from like a long ass shift, so give my boy some yeah
22 hours in 2 days. But yeah.
My answer to this question is that I think that when in this generation's time, and I'm not going to say I'm not a part of this, because I'll admit that, it's hard not to go to school and just see everybody else wearing the drippiest clothes, have all their designer on and not be influenced by it. And you want to do the same, right? So I think that it's sort of become like a popularity contest in schools. Who has the best drip, who's wearing what kind of chain you're wearing, what kind of shoes you're wearing. And then I always thought, like, for the students who come to school wearing like just whatever, like their parents can't afford to buy them like Louis Vuitton belts, all that, right? And then they get like bullied and just put aside. When school should be a place where we're learning, right? So it should be a place where everybody's like differences are welcomed, right? And it shouldn't be a place where like people are just competing to have the best fits, because we're just kind of creating degenerates at that point. Like that's not what we should be worrying about, especially when you're in grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. Like, worry about your grades.
No, I for sure agree. It is obviously, that's how it is nowadays. But I feel like we've built a social construct within our, our generation, within our society, that, certain things have to, like, for example, someone who wears Nike, for example, at a school, is cool. Someone who wears Nike is, they stand out. They're popular. They're, that's the check basically represents who they are, right? Whereas if someone were to just wear some basic clothes, no brand, exactly, you're a loser, right? And that's a social construct. We've built that social construct within our generation, and I think that for that reason, I'm gonna actually change my thing to uniforms shouldn't be allowed, because I think that no matter what, people are gonna complain about about having a uniform, right? Because the social construct today is, people should be able to express themselves, like I was saying. People should be able to, stand out, wear their drip, and even if you're wearing that, that no-name brand, whatever, I still feel like you'd rather be in that no-name brand than in a uniform, right? Because I feel like nowadays, as much as, the social construct is, that a check represents you, right? Or like, Louis Vuitton represents who you are. I think, again, there's other ways to stand out besides the uniform or besides the way you present yourself in terms of your attire.
So sorry, you think uniforms
shouldn't? I think they shouldn't be allowed, right? Yeah, because I know it's weird because I'm kind of arguing against it. I'm arguing against it, but like no matter what we do, there's gonna be a social construct, right? If we step outside our house, right? If we're going to the mall or something, we're not gonna be wearing a uniform to the mall, right? Or like if we go out to the park, we're not gonna be wearing a uniform, right? No matter where you are, you can't avoid the fact that you might get judged based on what you wear. So I'm just, you gotta learn to embrace it, and you gotta, kind of understand that there's a social construct no matter what side of the spectrum you're on in terms of, this whole uniform or attire thing.
I have a feeling I know what you're gonna. We'll hear it anyways. We'll hear it.
What do I need to say?
I feel like you're gonna say uniforms are good.
I think I actually kind of take more of Virgin's side. Like they can be good or bad, but I actually did go to a school that had a uniform for like six-ish years, so I actually do have a Armadale. So yeah, I did. Yeah, they did. Yeah. So I actually do have experience with uniforms, and I think
Did you like it?
I remember I hated it at first, but then like what the thing is that you wake up in the morning and you don't have to worry about wearing a fit to school. That's a really. So I could actually wake up at like 8:30 and just like throw on khakis and like the uniform, just go to school. That was nice.
Like that's kind of like a stupid thing to stress about though too. Like what do I wear today?
And that's the thing. I care significantly less. Right before until puberty, and then like after puberty, of course, you start to care about everything. So, right around that point, I think I'd say I was a lot less like, I don't know. I think it's good and bad, and I will say that I think it's perfect the way it is, because private schools and some schools have their policies and some schools don't, and I think schools that are a bit more liberal in their expressions and a bit more open in how they want to express, the dress codes and how they want kids to express themselves in that manner. I think it's fine to have no dress code policy, uniform policy, but I think that to a certain extent, having uniforms kind of does signal a little bit of aura. You have a bit of that aura, because I know some of those British schools back in the day had that aura where like they had like that, like the collar.
Explain the aura behind it. Like, describe it.
Like the aura's like, it's like Hogwarts like type of like you're pulling up in suits. Like I think uniforms kind of foster like a little bit of an aura and an atmosphere that is conducive towards like really like you're coming to school for a purpose, versus some days you might wake up throwing like a pair of like sweatpants, a hoodie, and just don't care.
It affects you mentally.
Guys, that's me.
Yeah, and I think that for a lot of kids, you want to have the environment facilitate towards learning. And that's a whole discussion, like psychology and the whole, how that goes into it. But I do think I lean 60-40 on uniforms are better. But I think it just depends who you are, what you want. And I think if you're a serious school that wants to foster academic excellence, you definitely should have a uniform policy, because it just makes kids
for academic excellence.
Yeah. But if you want like a chill environment where kids want to have fun socially, you don't need to worry about all that, man. Just have the kids do what they want.
It's just a drip contest, you don't care about your students.
No, but that is so corny though. That is so corny though.
But like, here's my take.
The
You go ahead first.
the corniest part is like, they want the kids that just like the V-Lone, the freaking Bape. That is corny, bro.
When you see a kid just dripped head to toe, like, be honest. He's got, some V-Lone. He's You got these ripped jeans with some Balenciagas on.
With the
The
shades.
kid is not going to class.
Jordans? Yeah.
He is not stepping
He's not.
a foot. He's in the bathroom all day. Trust.
Don't forget the jewel, the vape pen, bathroom.
But I'm not trying to make this a stereotype. I'm just saying,
Yeah, if you
based off of my observation, no hate to anybody who wears.
If you feel personally attacked, I'm just kidding. You're the problem. But
If you feel like offended by
if you
that,
feel offended,
chill.
just listen.
But, okay, this is what I've always, and I think I've told you this before, both you guys.
Yeah.
I've when I was in grade 9, 10, and 11, especially, I was so materialistic. I couldn't leave the house without having like my best clothes on, right? And I cared so much about how other people perceive me, and how they perceive me is through my clothes, right? So I'd have to wear the best clothes. I would only wear Nike Polo, what's it called? What's that other?
Tech fleece.
Yeah, tech, but never mind. It doesn't matter. But just the best clothes. But something kind of happened in grade 11 where I kind of realized that like I used to be this way, but then I kind of started to understand that nobody cares. It's like you go out of your way to look the best and have your best drip when nobody gives a shit. People didn't like. They won't see. Your haters will hate you no matter what. Like the people that don't like you, they still don't like you. And like, I started to understand that it's not about you. Like, why do you want to be a pawn that is representing all of the major brands? And that's their game plan, is to have everybody just wearing their clothes, right? You're just a pawn in their bigger game, right? Instead, why don't you represent your clothes? Instead of having all this designer name brand and stuff that makes you look belittled, and you're just the player in the game that's representing a larger brand. Why don't you be somebody who's accomplished? And do you guys get what I'm saying, or am I yapping?
No, for sure. No, I agree with you. I understand, where you're coming from.
What does Mark Zuckerberg wear every day?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, they all wear
He's
the
a
basic.
bot,
But here's the thing for me, right? Like, I want to just clarify, when I was talking about a social construct, this is exactly my example, right? When Mohammed was talking about, when I was in grade 9, 10, 11, I had to wear, that the Nike, the Polo, those types of clothes, right? I don't think it's necessarily how people perceive you. Like, obviously, if you're, like we said, there's certain things that you could be wearing that might make you stand out a little more, right? But again, right? Like, there's a social construct that we have within ourselves that we have to be wearing certain clothes, right? And that people view us based off what we wear, right? But the older you get, the more you mature, you kind of start to realize that, like, you could basically wear whatever you want and people are going to see you the same, right? Like, there's still, you could still be dripped out and have $20 clothes on, right? Like, you could wear cheap clothes and still look, sharp. You could look clean. You could look fresh, right? And I think that the more you go on with your life, the more you mature, you start to realize that, right? And it's super important that, you go through that maturity phase, because I feel like you're going to really understand like how important, or like how this social construct kind of plays a factor on all of us, right? As a generation. Because I feel like all of us have felt this way. All of us wanted that, that Nike or like the Air Force Ones or whatever. But if you were to walk out in your Skechers or whatever, no one's gonna look at you and be like, yo, this guy's wearing Skechers, like I'm gonna like go clown him or whatever, right? And that's the thing, it's just a maturity thing. And I think the more you mature, the more you learn, right?
Yeah, let you define your clothes, not the other way around. So it's just, that's the point, right? Like I have a friend that's like really successful. He's in law school. I'm not hating on him at any, like, because I love him, but I remember having a convo with him once, and I was like, listen, like, take away, like, subtracting the, like, billionaires and hyper successful individuals in designer, like, culture and, like, fashion culture. Almost every single, like, and I'm not talking about, like, the 10 millions. Everyone, the $100 million, tend to just not have flashy clothes.
Because they just care about being successful.
And their clothes aren't exactly like, no, they have nice clothes, but it's not like name brand. It's like really good material. It's like thing clothes.
You want to be presentable, but you're not trying to just show everybody that, like, sorry to cut you off, but you're not trying to just say that, like, look, guys, I have Louis Vuitton because you just look like a bot.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I think genuinely you want to just have a aura or persona like who you are should be defined by, how you talk, how you carry yourself, and not necessarily like, okay, yeah, I got on a tech fleece, I got on a this Louis Vuitton shirt, I got a Vuitton shirt, like
Your personality, like
yeah.
what's going on?
And that's what I said. You can never wear those things. I just think that the obsession, like we should iterate. It's not the fact that if you own a pair of like a Gucci belt and that's a gift, we're not dissing you. Like
Yeah, no, like
no.
I have good.
Yeah. Having nice like brands is fine. Is the point is when you obsess over them is the issue. Like if your identity revolves around having nice clothes, that is a problem.
If you're nobody without your designer clothes, then you're just a bot. Like you're exactly who we're talking about. It's because like you're just like we said, your clothes you represent your clothes. Wait, was it your clothes represent you?
Yeah. So you want you to represent your clothes, not the other way around.
What he said.
And like I feel like nowadays too, right? Like people, especially like social media. If you're to go on social media and see like all these famous people, all these rappers, whatever. Like if you were to go see Drake, right? What's he wearing? He's wearing OVO, right? And if you look at our generation, our age group, what's popular? OVO, right? And OVO has their Nike partnership now, right? And Nike's paying a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people to represent their merch, their brand. And why? Is because they want to, sort of create that social construct. They want to let people know that, Nike is what's popular. Nike is what makes you stand out, right? And exactly. And I think that's kind of what drives what people wear as well.
Consumerism.
Exactly.
You are being manipulated and controlled.
Do not let the elites. Do not let the elites control you.
Don't let them get you.
Nah, yeah, we're about to turn to Alex Jones, the Alex Jones podcast. Hey, get hella conspiracy theories.
But again, are we hating on Nike? No.
No,
Right?
we're
Like-
not hating on it.
Please sponsor us.
Like let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Nike is just a very, very smart business, right? Very smart.
Nike's a bunch of assholes, though.
No, they have their bad
You know
stuff.
why?
Why?
I don't know if this is truly verified. Jamie, can you can you check this up?
Wait. Before we check anything up, can we just say that the Timberwolves just won Game 7?
Well, they won Game 7.
They just won Game 7. So live update, guys, because we're recording this in real time. So the Timberwolves just beat the Denver Nuggets, which is insane. I have to process this at a later date because I'm in the recording mode right now. But this is crazy. And although here's the sad part, personally, I wanted SGA to win. I wanted the Thunder to advance because I wanted to see Ant and SGA, two young guys, go head to head.
It's conference finals now.
Yeah. Now we got the Mavericks versus the Timberwolves. This is a good series. Anyways,
What
we
were we talking about?
were talking about the whole Nike thing. So you want me to look up?
Well, okay. The reason I say that is because when fact check this, but when Kobe passed away, his wife didn't want them to release more shoes of his because for whatever reason they wanted. I think she just wanted them to stop releasing them under his name just to get out of respect, right? Because he passed away, and she doesn't want them to just constantly getting revenue just off of his name, right? But they kept releasing it,
Okay, so
and they kept releasing the shoes.
blames Nike for limited Kobe sneakers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, maybe something.
No, but this is like recent though. This is like last August.
Again, we could still talk about it.
Well, yeah. So it was not only that, but it's also like,
If you're a person who says like, you think you're a human rights activist, and you go out there and say that I don't condone people or brands having sweatshops. I don't wear fur from coyotes and geese. And you think you're like, because I know people like this, and they think they're such good people, and then they go and like, they wear Nike and stuff, right? But then hold up, Nike is their stuff is produced in sweatshops, is it not?
This is getting quite controversial, guys. But yeah,
Is their stuff not produced like in China?
I mean,
Is it from China? And it's just like little 12-year-olds making your stuff. Fact check this again. I could just.
so I don't know. I mean, I think we all kind of know like that's kind of the biggest, like just.
It's a big controversy in clothing industries in
But it's not
general,
just
right?
Nike.
Like,
I mean,
no matter.
It's every single corporation, like large corporation in America. It's not just Nike.
Again, they laid off Kyrie Irving from his shoes. Like, I have beef with Nike at this point. It's not only the Kobe thing. It's Kyrie too, because for whatever reason, I forgot.
Those Kyries are really nice.
Because Kyrie just keeps it real, you know.
Yeah, main takeaway is that, unfortunately, not to say that I don't like capitalism. Like, I do see that it is probably the best, the best way of an economy to work. But again, the point is that in the modern day and age, it's again, everything you buy can be traced back to something unethical, which is why a lot of you can say that I don't want to buy from sources that have, whether it's child labor and this that, but unless you're buying from genuinely mom and pop shops who source their things from everything's local, which is literally, if you live in a city, it's basically impossible. That's just not feasible in a if you live in the West like we do, and capitalism exists, and that stuff. You just can't buy things that don't have some sort of oppression or whatever, some messed up stuff attached to it. And listen, I'm not saying that I'm some I don't want to sound like a liberal a talk engine oh yeah, this is why capitalism is bad. It's okay, I'm not saying I love capitalism. I'm gonna suck its dick, but capitalism is it is what it is. I appreciate the fact that it gives us access to so many cool things, and it gives us personal agency and freedom. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge, there's a lot of, we're acknowledging the fact there's a lot of fucked up things about capitalism.
Yeah, not saying okay, I'm gonna get flamed for wearing Nike and talking shit about Nike.
Yeah.
But not saying the clothes aren't cool. I like to wear Nike, but I'm saying the people who run it, they've if you're a person who advocates for human rights and then you're wearing Nike as well, then you got some thinking to do, because.
Yeah. So the point is that if you're this is akin to me saying
people are so what's it called? Hypocrites.
Yeah, this is akin to people saying oh, I love animals, I'm a vegan, and then
they wear a Canada Goose jacket.
No, and then you eat fish because apparently fish don't
But I feel like it's a tough argument to make, right? Especially the sweatshops, for example, because I feel like most businesses do it because it's very easy for them to boost their profits and minimize their expenses by doing it. I'm talking from more of a business point of view, not really from a human rights point of view. And I feel like a lot of businesses do it for that reason. And if you were to go outside, go shopping, right, for some clothes, any store you walk in probably has some sort of messed up supply chain where they're getting their supplies from different countries where the working conditions aren't as good. But again, as a business, you got to understand that, again, it's not sustainable, but it is profit driving. And I feel like if you were a big corporation, a lot of the time you're looking for what's going to drive profit in your business, what's going to grow your market share, right? And I think that a big thing that makes it hard for more sustainable companies to compete is the fact that a lot of these big businesses are using tactics that are very unsustainable to meet their goals and maximize their profits. And again, I want to kind of say that it's controversial, but it happens everywhere, and it's very hard to advocate for clothing in specific, because again, things like children working in sweatshops or unfair working conditions happens in thousands, millions of clothing companies across the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, corporate greed. That's what we notice these days. I think I remember vividly how quality has dropped. I'm talking literally everywhere. I'm talking gaming, games being released nowadays. Even the food we get from McDonald's, it tastes worse than it used to back in the day. Everything just seems watered down, and just I feel unfortunately, I think for some reason every single round table, not a round table, but all these corporate meetings, all the big bosses of every company, they're you know what? There's a million people on Twitter talking about, we freaking hate this new product. You know what? Let's for example, the amount of streaming services that we have these days, the amount of ads that we have, the amount of things paid, DLCs, all these paid things. It's everyone we would appreciate you guys a lot more if you just gave us quality content that we can buy once and that's it. or things like that. But the amount of times that like corporations and companies are just going to be like, oh, we have like a million people on Twitter talking about, oh, we hate what you're doing with this product or your service, but you know what? Double down on it. But the problem is you'll make money. You'll make money because you're charging more money, and unfortunately, some of these things are like essential. Like Spotify, for example. Like Spotify, even if they charge $15, right? I promise you, they'll make profits. You want to know why? Because the amount of people are like, you know what? I can't not have music in my life, so I have to have Spotify. And it's just like, it's kind of sad. I mean, I get it. I would say right now, me personally, like I'm a kind of like I like music, but I'm not a huge music fan anymore. I think I'm more of a podcast guy now, ironically. But yeah, the point is, it sucks how corporations just do that nowadays, and I think it waters down quality.
I think the simple answer to that is just that they're making money, and they don't care really about, like, you know that thing where they say the customer is always right, but still, like, nobody cares about the customer when it comes to like the large corporations. Me and my dad were just having a conversation about how when you know like how when you need to go to the hospital, and obviously if you drive there, you're gonna have to park your car, right? Yeah. And you need to park it in their parking lot, which is a paid park. Like, you have to pay to park at the hospital. Say I just came in with my arm ripped off. Yeah. They expect you with the broken arm, whatever injury, you know, if you have a life-threatening condition, you're in critical condition, you come in, you got to go park your car. If they're parked for you, you got to wait for them to pay, tap their phone, put their card in. And we were just thinking about how, like, that's kind of messed up. How if it's the government that owns the hospitals, that they just make money off of innocent people who, like you said, about how people are going to buy Spotify no matter what the price is, right? You need to go to the hospital, and you're going to have to pay that parking fee, right? But it's like simple things like that. I'm not saying everything should be free, but like those type of things, you know, like going back to what Sion was saying about how they know you're gonna need it, right? So they double down on the price because you've got no other choice, and it's just about money at the end of the day.
So the hospital example, I was looking it up. I think I remember I talked to my dad about that, and they're like, to be fair, one of the ways they make money for like running the hospital is from the parking lot, because we're in Canada, by the way, if you guys haven't already figured it out. Healthcare is free in Canada, so we don't pay for things. So I was just looking up on Google, like, our American hospitals paid parking, and the consensus seems to be that if a hospital is in the downtown area where land is like sparse, then they will charge for parking. But if it's they will charge in downtown. But if you're like outside of downtown in like a suburban area where it's a lot like a big part of land, it's pretty free. I mean, it tends to be free. So I think the thing is that this could maybe hospital charge parking in Canada, because again, the hospital in our area, I'm not going to give it away where we are, but point is that I'm not telling you guys where we are, but the hospital in our area is, we're not in a big, like, we're not in, like, we are in a city, but we're not in the downtown area. But the hospital right near my house is not, like, they charge for parking, but they have a lot of land, like they have a lot of parking spots.
The thing is, if the hospital's funded by the government, how much money does the government?
See, this is the thing, right? So this is why, controversially, I actually am in favor of semi-privatizing the healthcare. I actually am in favor of semi-privatizing the healthcare industry. I am in favor, because this is the thing. I think leave the low income, like if you're low income and you can't afford to have healthcare. Yeah. I mean, again, dental care, eye care, and things of that nature are already paid. Like, you already have to pay for that, unless you have insurance, right? So essential care, like family doctors and hospital stuff, and maybe like mental blood tests, have to be covered by the public system, and have that, you know. So maybe we can lower the tax a little bit, like, you know, have the margin be, you know, like met. And then for people who are folks who have more money, that are willing to spend the money. Like, here's the thing: if you have the money and you want to spend it, why should you be prevented from having the opportunity to spend your money for better healthcare, faster healthcare, and having a bit more resources? I mean, you shouldn't be, right?
I guess the ultimate.
And that is I think one of the biggest favors for the U.S. system. Where it's like, of course, everyone rags in the U.S. for not having free healthcare, and obviously there's a lot of things about that. But the point is that one thing they do have is that the lines are not nearly as bad in the U.S. as they are in Canada. I know they are bad, but again, the U.S. I think the U.S. now are complaining about the lines again. I hope they know that in Canada we've literally always have had lines. It's never been good, and it's a byproduct of the fact that it's free. And I'm not saying that I hate free healthcare. It's cool. It's great. I mean, you don't have to worry about like if I break a leg, you don't have to worry about like the bill. But at the same time, I have insurance, one, and like I don't think it's a bad thing that that if we have the money for it, that we can pay for healthcare. Like,
yeah, but the thing is, when you're going into park versus when you're actually you're seeking healthcare. You know how like some people will only go to, or like in the U.S. you're only really gonna like maybe use some services if you have the means to pay for it, right? But that's not really the case for like in Canada. If you have like a medical emergency and you need to use that parking lot, but then you have to pay for it. Say you literally are broke and you can't pay for it, right? So, or then how would you have a car? But like, still, I don't think the argument should be that like, okay, because we have money to pay for something, we should like double down on that and force people to do that. But then I guess people are gonna say that if like what would happen? What would be the downside of parking in hospitals? Like, what would be the downside of it being free?
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Let's think about this, right? So I'm also like I'm very 50-50 about this topic because like you were saying, right? If my arm were to be cut off, right? Like the last thing I'm trying to do is pay for parking, right? But at the same time, let's say we made parking free in the hospitals, right? For example, let's look at our area.
By the way, I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. Like, I'm not saying like parking should be free. I'm just kind of like I'm questioning. I don't have too much knowledge.
Not everyone in our area is gonna actually use that parking for a hospital, right? And let's say this parking lot fills up because people are trying to go to a community center nearby. People are trying to go to the bus terminal, right? They're just trying to park there for the day. If the parking lot fills up, where are people who actually need hospital services going to park?
Exactly.
Right? And let's say the next furthest parking lot, 20-minute walk, right? This person now has to walk 20 minutes to get to the hospital. Let's say they need emergency treatment, right? They're walking this 20 minutes just to get that emergency treatment, right? And if they're unable to, walk back after, if they're put under certain medication or even walk there, for example, right? Like, what are you going to do? And I think, obviously, right, parking, it's a very controversial topic, right? Paying for parking, the idea of free healthcare, right? Should it be free? Should it not be free? Again, very controversial because there's a plus side and the minus side to this, right? I think there's a statistic that 97% of hospital beds in Canada are full, right? Like a very high percentage of hospital beds in Canada are full because, again, we're giving people free healthcare, right?
So you think if they made parking free, that people would just
again, this is kind of two different things, right? That's kind of counteracting that free parking thing. I think for sure, depending on the area you're in, for example, if you're in downtown, it is important to have parking, like paying for parking, because those parking lots will fill up if it's free, right? If you were to go to downtown Toronto, right, and you need hospital services and the parking was free, you're not getting parking. Like, you're gonna have to pay for parking in order to, secure a good spot near the hospital where you could walk, step outside and the hospital is right there. Right? And let's think about it in the other way with free healthcare. 97% of hospital beds are taken. Let's say this is true, right? I'm pretty sure it's a true fact. The reason I'd say 97% of these hospital beds are full is because there's, you have to pay for, healthcare is free, right? And the thing is, I feel like since we have access to free healthcare, everyone's going to use the doctor whenever they need it. Let's say I were to fall down, scrape my knee, right? I'd go to the family doctor, check it out. And there's certain instances, certain cases where you wouldn't have to go to the doctor. If I had like a cold, right? I know I used to, have this idea, but like, again, it kind of fell off on me. But I think it is very like amongst a lot of people, it is a thought to go to the hospital or go to the doctors if you're sick, to get your medications, to do this, to do that. But I think that it's not severe enough where you have to occupy, other people's important needs within a hospital. Where, if I were to go to the family doctor to do a certain examination, or if I needed to do this bi-weekly test, I think that's a lot more important, right? But if I just need to go check or get my meds for a flu, I could do that at my local grocery store. I could go to Walmart, right? Go pick up a Tylenol, right? That's enough to get me through the cold. And again, that's why I kind of am on the fence about both free parking and free healthcare, because obviously there's the plus side to it and there's also the minus side to it. But yeah.
That's a good point. What do you guys want to end off with?
We can cover something. I was thinking about this. What are your thoughts on? Okay, no, I have a question. Who would win in a fight? A gorilla or a leopard?
Gorilla or a leopard?
And I actually have the answer to this question, so I just want to hear you guys talk.
So it's like me and you.
Okay.
No, like I actually have a definitive answer.
Let me think about it real quick, because I know that a gorilla is probably like 400 pounds,
Yes, there are 4 or 5 pounds though.
but I don't think a leopard weighs that much.
They actually do weigh about like 300 or 400 pounds.
Wait, a leopard? I was thinking a leopard would be like, like roughly 150. Not 150, maybe like max 200.
Sorry, I lied. I very much lied.
Oh my god, 31 kilograms.
I lied. I was confusing the lion with leopard.
Dude said
Guys,
300 pounds.
guys, a leopard is 70 pounds and he said it was 300.
Okay, so I have mine.
It's about 100 pounds. I mean, male's about 100 pounds.
Okay,
Can
so
we
that,
check- can
that
we
makes
check-
more sense,
Can we
because
cross-check gorilla weight too?
Yes.
I'm thinking gorilla is like 500 pounds.
I don't think so. Let's do a slower
6 feet at max.
430 pounds.
Okay, 430. I have my answer. I think the gorilla is destroying the leopard.
Okay.
Because, so, I know that, okay, a leopard, they're on all fours, so they can only kind of like attack in a certain way, whereas the gorillas, like, they're upright, right? Or no. Well, like, they could go upright.
Yeah, they can.
So, like, they could go upright, but then they could also go on all fours. They're 500 pounds. So, like, if a leopard is only 100 pounds, they're like 4 times as much as, roughly, maybe.
So here's my take on it. I think it depends, right? Is the gorilla and leopard, where are they fighting?
Bro's asking the real questions. Bro's asking the real questions right now.
Where are they fighting?
They're fighting in they're fighting in the Congo, based in the rainforest.
Rainforest?
Yeah, well, that's where they exist anyway. Yeah, that's where both of them exist. Yeah.
I'm going to assume that a leopard is faster than a gorilla, by far.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And depending on where this leopard strikes, it could wound the gorilla to a point where the gorilla can't attack the leopard, right? But let's say this leopard's an idiot, goes for the foot or something, right? And it's biting on the foot. Then I think the gorilla just pounds it.
I don't think any leopards are gonna bite the foot, bro.
Yeah, obviously, like, again,
The natural selection will weed out the leopard far before.
I can't say this like
He's not getting
I
that.
can't say this like this leopard's an idiot. Like, obviously, natural selection occurs.
What if this
within-
leopard is just an idiot? It
occurs within
his
wildlife
instincts
too.
are just not there.
Right, that's the thing. If the leopard strikes the gorilla at a spot where it's able to wound the gorilla to a point where it can't move, I think the leopard's winning. Right?
Can a gorilla wrestle though?
Kind of.
What's their like offensive mechanism? A gorilla, because a leopard's gonna lunge at you and go for the.
They grapple, but again, surprisingly, gorillas have a really strong bite force. Like they actually have a pretty sharp teeth, and they actually can like.
I know, but how do they like? I'm assuming gorillas are herbivores, right?
Yes, they're herbivores.
So they don't really have any hunting skills.
A gorilla has 1,300 psi. 1,300 psi. Mind you, a polar bear has 1,200 psi bite force.
Oh damn, they're more than a polar bear. What's a human in comparison? So that
I think we're at 400 maybe. About 162.
oh my god, so that's like 10 times. No, not 10, but like maybe like.
Yeah, it is 10 times.
More or less.
I think the leopard's winning. I'm not going to lie, because I think the leopard strikes the gorilla at a point where the gorilla wouldn't be able to attack back.
So so here's the actual answer.
Wait. Don't tell me. Can I low key like say that because a gorilla doesn't have any, because they're not hunting other animals, so they don't really know like, I can't imagine what a gorilla would do when they see the leopard. Like how you getting?
Gorillas aren't predators. Yeah, you're right. Gorillas aren't predators. They don't have those. Yeah.
I'm gonna say a leopard now because you had some good points.
So here's the fun part. Leopards actually hunt gorillas. Leopards actually hunt gorillas.
They hunt them.
Here's a caveat though. They don't actually. Okay, so leopards won't go their way to hunt the male silverback gorilla. Though there have been cases that they have killed the silverback gorilla. What leopard does is that they'll attack at night. Because again, remember, gorillas, chimps, us, we're all great apes. We don't have the greatest night vision. We don't. Leopards any cat has fantastic night vision. So basically, they'll pounce the gorillas back at night and just dig their teeth into the back and just kill them, right? So, but here's the thing, right? So leopards versus gorilla one-on-one fight would be pretty close, but I do think leopards comes on top because again, gorillas. Okay, so gorillas basically are just us. Yeah. Because again, the gorillas are on the same height as average man, right?
I could take a leopard.
Should we test it out next?
Yes.
Podcast?
Let's go to,
We don't. Should we go to Kenya?
let's go to Kenya if you see that.
Next episode is gonna be
In Kenya, Nairobi. Yeah. Anyways.
We don't even have to continue the podcast. We'll just do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So just imagine the leopard is like weird. Okay, a gorilla is just us, but like 10 times stronger, if not more.
But what if you're 260 though? I was low key using the Bradley Martin's reasoning skills here because I was saying the gorilla.
But here's the thing: leopards, like again, like big cats in the African savannah are designed to kill primates. Like they're very good at it. And the point is, well, but you imagine a leopard can carry a gazelle up a tree, like with their teeth. So that's crazy. So the point is,
Insert Joe Rogan reaction. Oh my.
Oh my goodness. Jamie, can you pull that up?
yeah, Jamie, can you pull the video of the leopard? Jamie, can you pull the video of the leopard getting the gazelle up the tree?
Jamie, can you please just get that video?
Oh, fuck. So again, here's the point. Oh, the gorilla glaze needs to be stopped. I'm tired of hearing.
Who's glazing the gorilla?
No, because there's a genuine debate, discourse, on the internet, like who would win, a gorilla or bear? If a gorilla can't beat a leopard in a fight, what makes you think a gorilla would stand a chance against a bear?
Out of all the predators on land, I think the polar bear is at the top, is it not?
Polar Kodiak bear, yeah, around there.
Kodiak
It's
bear?
like Siberian tiger, Kodiak bear. Polar
Well, the Kodiak bear, does it still exist?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, what are you talking
Have you
about?
heard about the
Wait, is it not a grizzly bear?
It's a subspecies of a grizzly bear that exists.
Have you heard about the Kodiak shark?
Yeah, but a polar bear would beat a grizzly bear, no?
No. Okay, so here's the thing. The thing is, Kodiak bears and polar bears are roughly around the same size. Like, okay, polar bears are like taller and longer, but Kodiak bears way more. So
Polar bears are faster.
but no, here's the thing. Behaviorally, polar bears would win because they live in the Arctic, and anything that moves, the polar bear will kill. Grizzly bears have a bit better time. Like they have more abundance in food, so they're not as like their mindset isn't as killeristic as a polar bear's. A polar bear will fight you to death. Like here's the thing: if I see a grizzly bear in the woods, it might attack me, it might go away. But a polar bear sees me, it's on. So there's like it'll kill me no matter what. It'll kill me.
So you're taking the man over a bear, basically.
Uh,
all the women watching.
So for all the women watching, I'm actually 6'4", 200 pounds. I have a Lamborghini in the backyard. Yeah, no problem.
It was a panda beating a snail in a fight.
No.
Where do pandas even like hunt other animals, or they just eat bamboo?
The lead. I think
Good for.
here's my logic, right? Here's my logic. The snail would be chilling. The panda would be chilling. The panda would do something so stupid that it would just self-inflict damage.
It lost itself.
Yeah, the amount of videos I've seen of like pandas hanging off like a tree and they just fall. It's the funniest thing ever.
And they're crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a thing. Like, this is why like there's so many videos on YouTube now talking about is panda conservation even worth it? Because like it just seems like natural selection they're just booting them out. Because again, actually I think there's a video that kind of counter points against the whole like pandas don't have sex at all.
A lot of people by saying this.
Yeah, pandas don't have sex at all, so they can't even reproduce. That's one thing.
So are they gonna be extinct very soon?
The point is that I do think that if we didn't step in and like spend billions of dollars helping pandas out, I think they'd be dead.
Oh, like we're like breeding them.
Like we're genuinely like we are saving like we're.
I was about to say. I thought when you said they can't, reproduce, they just.
They do. No, they do. But the point is, like their habits, like their like mating habits are just shit.
They just have like no.
Like there's apparently the window for a male. No, apparently the window for a female to like want to breed a male with a male is like twice a year, and like for like an hour apparently. Like you know how small a window that is? Like that's like non-existent.
That's so funny. Have you guys seen the movie Sharknado?
No,
No,
Super
I've heard of
random,
it.
but-
I've heard it.
You've heard of
I
it?
haven't though.
No, but it just looks so bad that I've never like.
No, but isn't that what Penguin Zero says? Like he likes movies that are like so bad but they're good.
They're so bad.
Like there's a threshold.
Okay. Pull up the cover of it. See it.
There's a threshold of like movies where like there's so that was Cocaine Bear. We all watched it together.
Yeah.
That movie was shit, but it was funny because it was just enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
I thought it was alright.
Yeah, it was just funny. Like,
But based off a true story.
yeah, they exaggerated the shit out of the story.
Maybe. I think Mr. Ballin talked about it. Shout out Mr. Ballin.
No. But the real story is that I think what happened
It
was
looks watchable.
no, but it looks enjoyable.
Look at this one. It's flying.
Yeah, but like you'd watch this like at 2 a.m.
You watch it as like a meme.
No. There's
Like the thing is, they've come out with there's Sharknado 5. Like why is there 5?
Surely it's doing good.
no. The point is this movie is just backdrop for like Netflix and chill.
Oh my god.
This is a movie you just like you just have in the background like while you're doing whatever you're doing.
Your brain's in the wrong area. Anyways, guys, I think it's a great place to wrap this up. First episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next
So here's the thing. Expect
We're not gonna
expect episodes every single week. Like we're not gonna stop. So if you hate us, we love you.
Yes, first.
You guys are gonna come at us for like anything we said, like again.
And if you're watching this-
just kind of like theorize.
If you're watching this and you happen to know us in person, like you're like mutuals from high school or whatever, like, yeah, this is awkward, isn't it? This is awkward, isn't it?
Not really.
You know what? Screw all. No, I'm joking. Take care. Have a good one, and thank you guys for tuning in.
We love you guys. Honestly, we love you.